Hey guys, Hitman89 here and welcome to my top 10 survival horror games you should try in 2019. Keep in mind this top 10 is in no particular order and it's subjective, just like the rest of my top 10s. Speaking of which, check out my top 10 FPS games if you haven't already, and without further ado, let's start with the first game. I've always been a huge fan of Resident Evil games, but sadly I couldn't finish a lot of them because I was a huge pussy. But now that I finally got my shit together, I played Resident Evil 2 Remake, and even though it's scary as fuck, I finished it multiple times. Don't get me wrong though, I screamed like a little bitch several times, but seriously though, the zombies are relentless, the game is gory as fuck, and it looks amazing. It's got great replayability too, so if you've never played it, you definitely should. Plus, having Mr. X chase you around when you're trying to solve some puzzles is probably one of the most stressful things ever. Cause you know damn right if he catches you, he'll make some sweet love to your butthole. Now the second game I want to show you is completely different. The Dark Pictures Anthology Man of Medan is an interactive drama survival horror game with a great atmosphere and awesome graphics. You can also expect some jump scares cause Man of Medan is made by the same guys who made Until Dawn. So it's got a lot of frame rate issues, but if you can look past its bad optimization, Man of Medan is definitely scarier than Until Dawn. And it has local and online co-op, so you can play it with your friends if you have any. Let's just move on to the third game. On Blair Witch, you play as a cop who for some reason forgot to bring his gun, so now you have to fight monsters with a shitty flashlight. Awesome! You can also solve puzzles with your camcorder, and most importantly, you have a dog to guide you and help you find clues and items. And yes, you can pet the dog and do all that shit that I don't care about because I'm not American, or maybe it's because I'm not white. I don't know. What I know for sure though is that some animal lovers will dislike the video just because I said that. And you know what? I don't give a fuck, okay? Now, one more thing you should know about Blair Witch is that it's got some poor optimization. So unless you have a sick PC, you're gonna have to deal with a shitty frame rate even on Xbox One X. Now the fourth game on my list is The Evil Within 2. It's very different from Resident Evil because The Evil Within has a lot of stealth and it scares you by having some terrifying creatures chase you down. Keep in mind you can play it in third person or in first person view, which is obviously way scarier. By the way, I only got to play The Evil Within 2 this year, so if you're like me and you missed out on it when it first came out, then it's not too late to give it a go. Moving on to the fifth game, Layers of Fear 2. On the first Layers of Fear game, you play as an insane painter, and on this one you play as a Hollywood actor. You're on an ocean liner and you gotta act. I mean, you're mostly gonna be solving puzzles and running away from some sort of ghosts that have terrible animations. I probably made it sound like it's not scary at all, but that shit still scares me. I mean, Layers of Fear 2 isn't as good as the first one, but it came out a couple of months ago and that's why it's on my list. Anyways, let's move on to the next game. At number 6 we have Resident Evil 7. My least favorite Resident Evil game, but also the scariest one. So on Resident Evil 7 you get a tape from your girlfriend who disappeared a couple of years ago. She basically says, "Don't come looking for me." So what do? You go looking for her in a fucked up place, and what do you take with you? A motherfucking flashlight. Makes sense. It's okay though, cause you end up getting tons of weapons. By the way, the game still looks amazing even 2 years later. And if you're on PS4 and you wanna die, play it with the PlayStation VR. And at number 7 we have Outlast 2, a game that'll chop your dick off, literally. But there is something that really bothers me with Outlast, cause you'll come across tons of shovels and all kinds of tools that you could use as a weapon, but the game doesn't let you do that. Which doesn't make any sense. I mean, maybe it's cause you can't kill everyone so you'd end up being dead, but I'd rather fight and die like a man than record shit with a camcorder and hide like a little bitch. But you know how it is. When it comes to making sense, horror games and porn scenarios are on the same level. Moving on to number 8, Daymare 1998 is like the indie Resident Evil 2 remake. That's why you'll come across tons of references to the Resident Evil universe, and as you can see, the graphics are good and the gameplay is decent. For a fan-made game, obviously. So Daymare 1998 came out a couple of days ago, I mean September 17th, because you could be watching this video in 2069. And if that's the case, then you should be fighting the robots to save humanity instead of watching my shitty video. Speaking of my video, let me show you the 9th game on my list. Visage, or actually Visage, because it's French for face, is a game inspired by PT. It's made by a small team of indie devs and is scary as fuck, even when nothing happens. On this game, you gotta avoid staying in in the dark for too long so you don't lose your sanity. The graphics are awesome, the game is very well optimized, but it's a walking simulator, so if you're not into those and you want to have some action, then you're not gonna like Visage. Last, but certainly not least, we're gonna be looking at Them and Us. This one is a little bit of a gamble because the game is still very rough around the edges, but it's promising. You get to choose whether you're gonna play with fixed camera angles and tank controls, or an over-the-shoulder camera angle with modern controls. So if you wanna play something similar to Resident Evil 1, then you should keep an eye on Them and Us. It's currently available in early access on Steam, and it's coming out by the end of the year on PC, later on consoles. So if you're interested, keep an eye on it. Anyways, that's gonna be it for my top 10 horror games you should play in 2019. I don't know if you noticed, but I did my best to have as few walking simulators as possible. So I hope you found at least one good game that'll scare the shit out of you on a daily basis until you beat it or until you die of a heart attack. I hope you make it though, cause if my viewers died, well, I'd get less views, you know. Anyways, if you know of any good survival horror games that I didn't mention and that are worth playing, then please tell everyone about them in the comments section. And as you're scrolling down, you're gonna see a button that says subscribe, and it would be awesome if you could click it, because I make game reviews and top 10 videos just like this one, so you might wanna see more shitty content from me. I don't know. It's been Hitman89. See you guys very soon. Take it away.